What's going on? Welcome to today's video. My name is Colton, and today I'll be demonstrating how you can upgrade or replace your kitchen faucet. I'm going from this to this. Now, first thing to know when you're replacing your kitchen faucet is to make sure you're getting the correct faucet fitting. There's a whole bunch of sinks out there that have 1, 2, 3, even 4 holes for a variety of reasons, water, soap, etc., that you need to make sure you're getting the correct one. So some good news, I've actually partnered with Lowe's. They are sponsoring this video, but in doing so, they said, go pick your product, and I did. So I landed with this Delta faucet. So close up here, this is the Delta Anderson faucet. It is all matte black. It is a single hole faucet. So there will be a portion of unboxing and then reviewing, but I'll make sure that the meat of this video will be the actual installation. One reason why I actually picked this specific faucet outside of it being black in the single hole was this feature they're calling the shield spray technology. So I'm actually gonna quote this from Delta's website. It says, "The Delta shield spray technology cleans with laser-like precision while containing mess and splatter. A concentrated jet within a protective sphere of water powers away stubborn messes with an average of 90% less splatter than a standard spray." This will be linked down below in the description, and also you can go check out the product link that'll show like right here, I think somewhere here. Take this out. Okay, you have a user manual, installation manual. So a separate bag for a, this is usually the 4th hole. This is for like soap. And then some other things that we're not going to use, but I'll show you anyways, is here is the 3-hole mount. Over here, this is a weight. You hear that? Sand. This is for when you pull your faucet down. The weight is on the hose there to try to pull it back, to retract it. Looks like here you have all the different fasteners. So this is like for your hose management, making sure everything's are organized, and then it fastens down to that single hole. We will be using this. There's also a wrench in here that we'll also be using, comes in really handy. But the main thing here, the faucet itself. So what I'm actually gonna do is actually take this little bag, toss this off to the side, and let's go install it. One thing to note, I have installed kitchen faucets before and replaced them. Usually it takes anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour. If you're experienced and you know what you're doing, it's actually pretty quick. If you don't know, I'd probably plan for about an hour to an hour and a half. So let's get started. Here's the faucet we're gonna switch out. Works totally fine, just upgrading it to the black. First, clean off the countertop so nothing's in your way, and then also underneath the sink. And I'm gonna put a light under here just so it's easier to see. So first you wanna understand what's happening underneath your sink. You have your hot line in, your cold line in, and if you have a dishwasher, you're going to see your water line to your dishwasher, also your drain for your disposal. Really, you only need to pay attention to the hot, the cold, and these back here. This line is the line that has the desired output of water temperature, and this is what you need to get to in order to remove your old faucet. First, I like to start by closing off the water supply. This can be a quarter turn, half turn, push, pull, keep twisting until the water's off. Whatever it is, test it to make sure that the water is completely shut off. Now you're going to remove the retractable spray nozzle on the old faucet. This is just to push this button and it comes out. Others, there are little clips holding it in place and you just separate it. Next, I like to disconnect the water lines. I just grabbed an adjustable wrench and then loosened this nut. Do this to both hot and cold lines. You may also get some water dripping from this. Have some rags or a towel handy. You'll also want to make sure that the gasket of this hose is removed and it's not stuck in the water line. Next, the only tools I'm actually going to use because the hose is actually in really good condition is this wrench, this nut, this, and this. Go back under your sink, remove the weight, or at least you should have a weight. It often just slides off. Now take this special wrench that they gave you in the package, slide this main hose all the way through it, and go all the way up to the top to the nut. This tool is designed specifically and standardized specifically for this purpose. It goes around the hardware, gets straight to the nut, and you're able to loosen it up. If the wrench does not fit, you're going to have to get pliers or something else in there. And I'm sorry, because that is a huge pain. Loosen the nut all the way, and you'll see that your faucet is starting to become detached from the countertop. Gently pull everything up and out, and this is also a good time to clean up. Any water spills, any gunk underneath your faucet, any hard water buildup, use this time to clean it up. Now you'll take this little washer, it can be metal, oftentimes it is plastic, and you'll see there's a right way for it to go in. Thread the longest hose first, and then slide it up. This main threaded metal piece goes through the hole, everything else is just an organizer. Next, you're going to set your new faucet in by starting with the hoses to go down through this hole. Please be careful because you don't want to force anything, and again, this is for a single hole sink installation. It's going to be tight, but you may need to move the hoses just a little bit so it slips down perfectly and that plastic washer fits nicely. Next, you're going to take this block looking thing and make sure the metal is facing up. Take that main retractable hose and then feed it through. And then take this new nut, follow behind it, and then this will secure it all down. It is nice to have a second pair of hands sometimes to hold the faucet still so it doesn't move, but then once you have this block there and then you have the nut behind it and tighten it, don't over tighten it because you also don't want to crack anything on your counter, especially if you have some sort of stone countertop. Grab that special wrench because that will come in handy here. Personally, I would tighten until it starts to get pretty tough to tighten and then try to do one more quarter turn. Take your main line and thread it through the new weight, and then you're going to take this retractable part and then connect it to the faucet, and then this is where that blue clip will come in handy where you just hug behind the connection point and that's just enough resistance to hold it all together. You'll see how it looks here. Next, I'm going to connect the water supply. Make sure that's nice and snug. I started off by hand and then finished it off with a wrench. If you for sure want a good seal, you can use some plumber's tape. Once that's secured back on, slowly open up the valve because you don't want to have any water spraying everywhere if you don't have a good connection. And make sure you do this to both lines. Head back up to your new faucet and slowly open it up. You may start to see some sputtering. That's totally okay. It's getting the air out of the lines, but also while the water's running, make sure that you check the lines below the sink so there's no any leaks or anything weird. And now you're done. The installation itself was actually pretty easy. On the hot and cold lines, usually the hot line has that tag on it, kind of indicating that this is the hot. When I looked at the tag, I didn't see anything to say that it was the tag for specifically labeled to be hot, nor did I see anywhere that it said it was going to be the cold. So I made the assumption that the line with the tag on it from the manufacturer was hot. So when I hooked up the hot and the cold, it actually was backwards. The one with the tag on it was actually the cold line. So keep that in mind if you do purchase this faucet. Now for my final thoughts of this product. The Delta Anderson faucet does exactly what I expected it to do. Look pretty in my kitchen, especially with the white and black contrast colors. Next, it was pretty easy to install. Pretty basic, pretty straightforward with a faucet. Some things that I thought were kind of interesting. The first stream feature, pretty self-explanatory if your faucet has that normal feature. The second was the spray. The faucet didn't have a typical circular spray design where you have a whole bunch of spray nozzles all around the faucet. It actually had kind of like a TIE Fighter-esque design where there was just 2 rows of spray nozzles and it was spraying from that. I think there were like 3 or 4 on each side. So that already reduces the amount of spray if you were to take that design versus the circular spray design. And then the shield spray technology. Something that was kind of interesting is when you use the shield, it was just a button that wasn't necessarily click on, click off. It was a push and hold. That in itself, kind of annoying, but not a big deal. While using the shield feature, there was actually one jet that came out, but the one jet would then probably loosen up food particles, and as the jet is hitting the plate or whatever dish it is, expecting splatter to come back, I think that's where the shield is there to then reduce the amount of splatter coming back out. Genius. I thought it was great. It's kind of a cool feature to play with, but I actually did notice that the amount of water that was on the counter was quite a bit less. Now, was it 90% less? I don't know if I can necessarily say it was up to that claim. However, in my attempt of testing quickly, I laid down some toilet paper to see if there was a difference. The first was a normal spray, and there was quite a bit of water droplets all over the counter. Once I then dried everything up and then laid out new toilet paper, I then used the shield technology, and I found that it actually was reduced because the amount of droplets that I looked to see on the counter was just much less. I know for sure that when my kids see that feature, they'll probably think it's really cool and play with that more than just the spray or the stream. Thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, do so down below. Also, the link to this Delta Anderson faucet will be down below in the description. And a huge thank you to Lowe's for this partnership and sponsoring this video. And hopefully, maybe there's more videos to come. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.